Okay, the blip here, doing a condensed version of installing Arch Linux using RichARCH. I had a previous video that was a little bit longer and way verbose, had a lot of background information. So this one is a condensed version, just the nitty gritty. And today we're going to install Arch Linux inside of VMware Workstation Pro using RichARCH to bootstrap the whole thing. It's a nice way to go. So here's the condensed version. If you want the full one, check my description. I'll have a link in that below. All right, let's get started. I've got the ISO downloaded for for Arch Linux, and I'm ready to create a new VM inside of VMware Workstation Pro, which is now free nowadays. If you weren't aware, I highly recommend you work with it. It's free, courtesy of Broadcom. You do have to jump through some hoops with registration and getting the software, but it's not a big deal. I highly recommend it. So let's get started. We're going to create a new typical VM, nothing fancy. Going to do a Linux 64-bit. I'm going to call this RichARCH, if I can spell. I have a space squandered away for my VMs, so make sure you're prepared for that. And I want to make a 60 gig disk as a single file. And customize the hardware next. We're going to introduce, let's do 8 gig of RAM. And then we're going to keep it at NAT. Display, we want to accelerate 3D graphics and leave it at 8 gig, the maximum there. The reason why I'm doing accelerated 3D is in case you want to add a desktop environment, which most people do. Makes a huge difference, especially if you have a discrete graphics card. So everything else is pretty much good. However, we do want to specify the ISO under the CD-ROM, which we want to connect at power on. So let's go do that and browse. And as of this recording, March 1st was the latest ISO for Arch Linux, which you can get from their website. All right, let's close that out, finish, and we're gonna fire this sucker up. Now, when the ISO boots, basically what's gonna take place is it's gonna boot into their install shell environment. You know, a lot of distributions, they give you a full-blown desktop GUI. Arch does not do that. They expect you to sort of take it from there. So the good thing is we're going to use RichARCH to help streamline the whole install process. And I'm going to go ahead and stretch this display so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we are going to get our cursor activated in here, and I'm going to redirect to bash a URL. And we're going to use curl actually with a link, and I'm going to go to download sourceforge.net/RichARCH/install. And that will kick off the RichARCH install program. Yes, we want to get started. Okay, key mapping. I kind of screwed this up in my other video, but I'm in US, so I want to start with US. Okay, so we're going to do that. And we're going to go to English. In fact, English US. And we're going to page down. You can hit your page down. and I'm in US Eastern. All the major time zones are at the bottom, so you don't have to go cherry pick it out. No, not using TLP, don't care about that. Not on a handheld, and I am on a AMD processor. Nope, don't need dedicated GPU. Yes, we're going to use UFI. And no, I don't want any other kernels. Going to give it a fancy name. And no, I'm not doing anything crazy with domain, just a local domain. And we're going to create a system user account. And I want to do the KDE desktop. And now I can choose some default software. So yeah, I'm going to do Discord. We're going to do Visual Studio. Get some RichARCH on there. I like Krita. Let's go ahead and do YouTube Downloader, Kdenlive. And you can also do some Office products, which I like to have. LibreOffice. We'll get the chaotic AUR helpers. I like to use those. Some ZSH, and we'll stop there. And then that's it. We'll let this ride. Oh yeah, got to do country. That's for the mirror location. And we want United States for my location. And now we got to do disks. So STA is the virtual disk device name that VMware uses. If you're using a different hypervisor like Virtual Manager in Linux, that's probably going to be VDA. Here it's SDA. And I recommend doing LVM. It just keeps it simple. And so we want to create just a couple partitions. We want the first one to be just 1 gig. And that is going to be the EFI system. Okay. And then the rest of it, we're going to allocate to LVM. This is why LVM is simple, in my opinion. It's just easier to work with, easier to manage later on. And I want to write those changes. Yes, I'm going to SDA. It's my virtual disk. That looks good. And let's quit. Okay, SDA2 is the LVM partition. And all right, now we need to allocate within the LVM partition, what are we doing for root? So this is the breakdown I recommend for a 60 gig to get started. Again, LVM makes it easy to resize this stuff later on down the road. So we're going to do 30 for root. We're going to do 10 for swap. And then for the home, we're just going to say, give me the rest of it, but up to 95% free. And then EFI is on SDA1. And we want ext4. Okay, I'm going to pause the video, let that roll, and I'll be back when that's done. Oh, one thing I wanted to point out real quick is if you see this, where it's trying to find mirrors and failing, it's okay. It happens. So there's a gazillion mirrors out there, and it tries to validate, okay, what's the best one for you in terms of your location, your region, and response time, etc. So just ignore those warnings. Just let it ride. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, once you reach this screen, you are done. KDE install procedure completed. Base install procedure completed. You're good to reboot. However, I'm going to power off And then this is just personal preference. I like to come in here and clear out the ISO. So under CD, I'm just going to flip this over and hit OK. Real quick, I forgot to uncheck the connected power on for that CD. So you do have to uncheck that there. In addition, on this screen, you want to flip over to Options and then go to Advanced, change firmware type to UEFI, because we did select that during the install process. And then click OK. All right, now at this point, you're ready to power on. So I'm going to click the power on here. And just click through this, yes. And we want to go into RichARCH. And now we have KDE installed. Let me do my password. And here we go, installed. Just check some of the software we added. We'll search for like Krita, LibreOffice. We're looking good. All right, thanks for joining me today. That's the end of the demo. If you want the long form version with a little more background for new users, there's a link to that one in the description below. I'll be doing some additional videos as well, showing different ways to use RichARCH to onboard Arch Linux. Thanks for joining me.